Today I want to talk about Mike Danger from Techno Comics. When I was a kid, I did not read a lot of Techno Comics. What introduced me to comic books was the 25-cent box. And there was a lot of Techno Comics in there, but I would buy the Extreme Image, Wildstorm Image, Malibu, Ultraverse. Those were like the titles I mainly focused on. Techno, I read some, but the few I read I was not a fan of. But so if you look at the back, we have Neil Gaiman, Gene Roddenberry, Mike Spillane, Leonard Nimoy. This is Spock from Star Trek. Techno was a company that put names on the books, but Neil Gaiman, Gene Roddenberry, and Mr. Spock from Star Trek weren't actually involved in any of these other than it was their creations. They didn't write the book, they didn't draw the books, they basically just put their names on them. And yeah, so Mike Danger is a 1950s style detective. He gets put on ice in 1952 and wakes up in the year 2052. So he's on ice for 100 years. Wakes up in the future. And it's kind of a fish out of water type of comic where he's a quirky 1950s detective dealing with future technology. So the issue starts off, he's attending a brunch, he's getting food, he's having a conversation with the people that freed him. He doesn't understand modern technology, he hates it, yada yada. Then he mentions his adversary, the crime boss back in the 1950s, is also alive in the year 2052. He went to sleep in 1952 and he woke up in the year 2047, so about 5 years before Mike Danger was awakened from his sleep. And New York, or New York as it's called, is a perfect society. There's no crime, no violence, no anything. And well, it doesn't last because Sal Vane woke up in 2047 and took over. He is the crime boss officially of New York. Mike Danger wakes up from his slumber and his job is to save New York yet again, or New York as it's called. So he's kind of explaining his origin story, blah blah blah, and then as they're walking away, he talks about how he's legally considered dead, and he's not a lot of laws don't actually apply to him because he's legally dead. And then so there are no bars, there are no pubs, so he goes to the park and he sees a statue. At first they don't show us who the statue is, and then they tell us it's actually Ronald Reagan, which is pretty cool. Then a woman shows up and she's trying to sneak her and her son out of New York City and get to Chicago. So in the future, the kids are run by the state. They're not raised by their parents. So the government is raising kids, not parents, and she's trying to raise her daughter kind of hidden in secret. She asks for help smuggling him out of New York. He's kind of thinking about it. And then the robots show up. The Truancy Office Task Force. Displaced from Child Protection Agency. And they've come to arrest them, come to take them in. He's trying to negotiate. They push him out the way. He pulls out his gun. They say his 1950s style weapon is of no use. And then he starts fighting the robots. One of the robots grabs the kid, and then the mom starts hitting the robot furiously. Don't take my child, that's my baby, blah, blah, blah. I think I missed a page. So, robot slapped her in the face and sadly breaks her neck. So the mom dies. Child's being taken away. He pulls out his more modern pistol gun and he shoots all three of the robots. Might have been smart if he did that earlier. Then all the robots are destroyed. The mom is dead. Then he tells the little girl he's going to protect her. The mom's gone to heaven. And then the issue ends with Mike Danger telling the girl he's going to go help find her father and get her out of New York. And that's the end. Overall, this was not a bad comic. I read other stuff as a kid and I hated it. Was not a fan of Justice. Mr. Hero, Primordials, but this is actually kind of cool. It's a cool concept. I'm a little curious how you were frozen in the year 1950 and how you can wake up in 100 years. Keep in mind this is issue 10, so it might have been explained in one of the earlier issues. This is the first Mike Danger I've ever read, and it's not bad. If I find the others, I would definitely be interested, especially part 2. So I only have part 1, called A Child in the Future. Hey, if you like my video, please hit like and subscribe. And until next time, peace out.